Well, here we are in these weeks of ordinary green time. We're down here in the fields worrying about soil types, seed quality, enemy farmers, metaphors about good and evil. We have to remember Jesus is telling us a parable. It's a narrative which lies alongside the text. It's another description. It's a doorway into the teaching. But this message, this teaching, it's a little bit more complicated than it first would appear. On the agriculture front, I like it when the weeds in my garden, which, by the way, their name is Legion, I like it when they look different from the plant I'm trying to protect. Apparently, this wasn't the case in our text with the weed growing up with the wheat, and so the dilemma of what to do. And then, of course, the sower. Well, seed is too expensive. He's not going to sow seed that has weeds built into it, duh. And in the real world, are seeds actually sown? Don't they just arrive? And really, what is a weed anyway but a plant deemed to be in the wrong place by the gardener? It has its own intrinsic value. Now, we might not want that native black-eyed Susan in our flower bed, but we're happy enough to see it in a distant meadow. Location, location, location. Now, the seeds are said to represent opposing forces. But who says one is worth preserving at the expense of the other? Maybe both are worthy. You know, sometimes we don't have a clear choice, a true distinction between two issues. Stay in a job that pays really well, offers lots of security, or pursue your dream career and grow as a human being. Go to college or into the trades. Give in to peer pressure or stick to your guns and risk isolation. Maybe we confront more shades of gray than actual black and white. I have a very small brainstem, and it prefers things to be simple. I can handle 3 choices on offer, but add to the list and I'm lost. I do not go to Starbucks. All I want is a small, black, decaf coffee. But first, I have to choose for here to go, a cup size from a list with no English names, a method of preparation, drip, espresso, latte. I have to choose an additive, froth or no froth. And then I have to remember my own name to give to the barista. No, thank you, Mr. Coffee and Pete's Major Dickinson all the way. And so given our pea brains, that's why we like things in twos. Weed, wheat, good, evil, master, enemy, white, black, in, out. Logical. But who gave me the right to say my view of things should prevail? I think I've shared with you before how my heart and mind were changed by my service at Bedford Prison. Early on, though, I had to fight the critical voice in me which wanted to assess and judge the woman before me, while I never ever felt in any danger. Nonetheless, they had been convicted and sentenced for some pretty serious, hurtful crimes. So their history was a part of their makeup. And yet when they shared how they got there, it was heart-wrenching to hear. Often, not always, but often enough, their crime was a result of having to choose a worse evil over a lesser evil. Being the victim of domestic violence is its own hell. Worse when the abuse passes over to one's children as well. So it's not hard to follow the logic and eliminate the source of both problems, even though the consequences are monstrous. The children lose either way. And yet these wonderful women were seeing how now yielding to God's will after taking the actions they had, it was coming to bear fruit. The children were coming to visit. The lawyers were helpful about their appeal process, and better yet, their prayer life was richer. But back to our garden, maybe certain weeds in any garden are probably not good. Maybe we should think of their removal as the arrival of our human desire to be in charge, deal with the problems by ourselves. But in the process of correcting, adjusting, dealing, we can cause suffering and create an unjust system for those not on our side of the fence. Jesus is saying, wait, don't make that judgment, make that correction, try to remove that weed. Instead, allow both to come to harvest and see which one will rise to the top itself. God will be the judge, God will make the decision, and in the process we will maybe have avoided oppression and suffering for the other. Kind of like non-violent organic gardening on the human scale. I'm a firm believer in avoiding violence to fix a problem, yet I do feel odd making no response. The inaction proposed by Jesus is prudent in this case and has some attraction. But what happened to taking action against a clear injustice? Taking care of the poor, giving your coat to the naked person, sharing your food with the hungry. Doesn't Jesus upend the norm and tell us to don't do what the world suggests, but ask the outcast to dine with us? But there's also a danger in thinking that inaction or being passive to let God make the decision is insufficient. Maybe we're being asked to be non-judgmental, to allow some clear thinking to occur and a clearer course of action to arise. Maybe that black-eyed Susan blossom will look really good next to the nasturtiums in the back garden. There's a wonderful article in the New York Times Magazine today about native versus non-native plantings in our gardens. Some proponents claim we should only plant those species that are specific to our region to promote the health of the whole local ecosystem, insects and birds. Others claim that the imported plants are more lovely, they do adapt over time, and they're not all invasive, like the dreaded porcelain berry. Partway through the article, though, the author pauses. I come to regard an emphasis on gardening with natives as useful, but no means inevitable. The most specific and relevant questions any ecologically minded gardener can ask about their plants have more to do with conduct than origin. Not so much where are you from, but what will you do? What will these plants do for the soil, for wildlife, for people, and for the ecosystem at large? Perhaps the most ecologically responsible way to garden is neither by exalting natives to the exclusion of all other species, nor by dismissing them as relics, but by practical, intentional multiplicity, by planting in pure plural. Isn't that what Jesus is telling us? Give each plant a chance. See what they can do. Micah 6. He has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require, not ask, require of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. Maybe if we're already aligned and living our lives for God daily, that mission tree is already tilted towards justice. Our choices will reflect love. We'll make room for God as part of the action. Those metaphoric weeds will always need attention. Maybe we just need to let God help us put on our gardening gloves, inform our hearts to make the best choice for all. Meanwhile, Mr. Coffee has a pot ready for you. Would you like some?